Babe, been sitting here for hours trying to figure out how to even start typing this. My hands are shaking, and bae already gone through half a bottle of Macallan 18. I guess there's no delicate way to put it. My life has completely fallen apart in the span of 2 weeks. Some background. I am 34, made my fortune in tech investments, and have been with Vanessa for 4 years. We got married last year in what the society pages called the wedding of the season, a $300,000 affair on a private island. I thought I had it all. The penthouse overlooking Central Park, the vacation homes, the cars, and most importantly, the woman I believed was the love of my life. Vanessa is 28, gorgeous, with this magnetic charm that draws everyone in. When we met at a charity gala, she was working as a marketing executive at a luxury fashion brand. I was instantly captivated. Sure, the red flags were there from the beginning. Her obsession with status, the way her affection seemed directly proportional to the price of my gifts. But love makes you blind, right? 2 months ago, I started receiving some concerning messages. Nothing explicit, just weird texts from unknown numbers saying things like, your wife isn't who you think she is, and watch your back. I brushed it off as trolling at first, but then someone left a note on my windshield with my home address and the message, she's not safe. That freaked me out. I travel constantly for work, sometimes gone for weeks at a time, and the thought of leaving Vanessa alone in our penthouse started to make me anxious. I have enemies in business. That's inevitable when you're successful. What if someone was targeting her to get to me? I decided to hire personal security for her. Not some rent-a-cop, but top-tier protection. Through my network, I connected with Elite Shield Services, a private security firm that caters to celebrities and billionaires. They recommended Gabriel Torres, ex-military, specialized in close protection, immaculate record. His resume was impressive. Protection details for foreign dignitaries, high-risk extraction missions, advanced training in multiple combat disciplines. When I met Gabriel, I understood why he came so highly recommended. Tall, built like a brick wall, but with this quiet, watchful demeanor. He didn't speak much, just listened carefully to my concerns and asked relevant, thoughtful questions about potential threats and Vanessa's routines. Vanessa pitched a fit when I told her about the arrangement. I don't need a babysitter, she snapped. This is ridiculous, David. But I stood my ground for once. I explained it was just for my peace of mind while I was away on my upcoming 3-week business trip to Asia. She finally agreed, though not without making it clear how utterly inconvenienced she was. Gabriel would accompany her during the day and monitor our building at night from a separate apartment I rented on the floor below ours. Before I left for my trip, I took Gabriel aside. Take care of her, I said. She's everything to me. He nodded solemnly. I'll protect her with my life, sir. Little did I know those words would take on a whole different meaning. The first week of my trip went smoothly. Vanessa and I video called daily, and she seemed to have warmed up to the security arrangement. Gabriel's actually not that bad, she admitted during one call. He stays out of my way, and he helped me carry my shopping bags yesterday. By the second week, our calls became shorter. She was tired, or just about to head out, whenever I called. I told myself it was the time difference. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was scheduled to be in Asia for 1 more week, but I managed to close my deals early. Decided to surprise Vanessa by coming home unannounced. Romantic, right? I landed at JFK at midnight, exhausted but excited to see my wife. When I unlocked the door to our penthouse, the lights were dimmed. I heard music coming from our bedroom. I should have called out. I should have announced myself. But something, intuition, perhaps, kept me silent as I made my way down the hallway. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, and there they were. Thanks for all the support on my last post. Writing this out is like reopening a wound, but I need to get it off my chest. So here's what happened next. I stood in the doorway, frozen. The scene before me was like something from a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Gabriel had my wife pinned against our bedroom wall, the same wall where we had hung our wedding photos. Her legs were wrapped around his waist, her designer dress hiked up, lipstick smeared across both their faces. They were so lost in each other they didn't even notice me. I must have made some sound, a gasp, maybe, or perhaps the thud of my heart shattering, because suddenly they both turned. Vanessa's eyes widened in shock, but what killed me wasn't the surprise in her expression. It was the flash of annoyance that followed, as if my early return was nothing more than an inconvenient interruption. David, she breathed, entangling herself from Gabriel. You supposed to be in Tokyo until next week. Gabriel at least had the decency to look ashamed. He quickly adjusted his clothing and stepped back, his eyes darting between Vanessa and me like he was calculating exit routes. Professional habits die hard, I guess. How long? My voice sounded strange to my own ears, hollow and distant. Vanessa attempted to smooth her hair, recover some dignity. David, it's not what you. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't insult me by lying. How long? Gabriel spoke up then, his voice steady. 3 days after you left, sir. Sir. The formality was almost comical in its absurdity. This man who had been fucking my wife was still addressing me with professional courtesy. Get out, I said quietly. Both of you, get the fuck out of my house. Vanessa's expression shifted instantly from embarrassment to outrage. This is my house too. You can just throw me out like. Your house? I laughed, and it was an ugly sound. The house I paid for? With the mortgage in my name? The house filled with furniture I bought? You want to test whose house this legally is right now? She flinched. Vanessa had never seen this side of me. I'd always been accommodating, eager to please, willing to smooth over any conflict with gifts or concessions. Not anymore. Gabriel started gathering his things. Go. I apologize for the breach of trust, sir. As if apologizing for misplacing my car keys, not destroying my marriage. Did you send those threats? I asked suddenly as realization dawned. Were the messages and notes just a setup so I'd hire you? He looked genuinely confused. What threats? No, I was hired legitimately. I believe him, which is somehow worse. The threats were real, and in my paranoia about outside dangers, I invited the actual threat directly into my home. As Gabriel left, Vanessa switched tactics. Tears welled in her eyes. Those perfect tears that never caused her mascara to run. I'd seen her use them before at restaurants when the table wasn't to her liking, or when boutiques didn't have her size. Baby, please, she whispered, reaching for me. It was a mistake. I was lonely. You never here. Always working, always traveling. I needed someone, and he was just there. I stepped back from her touch. Pack an overnight bag. You can come back with your lawyer to discuss the rest. My lawyer? Her tears dried instantly. What are you saying? I am saying we done, Vanessa. I want a divorce. She laughed then, sharp and mocking. A divorce? David, sweetie, did you forget about our prenup? Or rather, the lack of one? Half of everything you own is mine now. The smug certainty in her voice made everything clear. This wasn't just an affair born of opportunity or loneliness. This was calculated. I remembered how she convinced me we didn't need a prenup because it would start our marriage on a foundation of distrust. And like a love-blind fool, I agreed. Get your things, I repeated. Now, as she packed, making a show of selecting the most expensive items in her closet, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Now you see. Sorry you had to find out this way. I stared at it, numb. Whoever had been sending the warnings hadn't been threatening Vanessa. They'd been trying to warn me about her. When she finally left, taking 4 suitcases instead of the one overnight bag I specified, the penthouse felt cavernous. I walked through each room, looking at our life together with new eyes. The photos of us smiling on vacations, The gifts I.D. given her. The spaces we.D. shared. It all felt like an elaborate stage set now. How much of it had been real? Had she ever loved me at all? I poured another drink and called my lawyer. The war was about to begin. The support from this community has been overwhelming. Some of you have asked if this is fiction. I wish it was. Unfortunately, this nightmare is my real life. Here's what happened next. The morning after I kicked Vanessa out, I woke up to my phone exploding with notifications. She'd gone nuclear on social media, posting tearful videos claiming I'd violently thrown her out on the street, and that I had dangerous anger issues. The comment sections were flooded with her friends, most of whom I'd wined and dined for years, calling me every name in the book. My lawyer, Marcus, called before I'd even had my coffee. "We need to meet now." His voice had that controlled tension I'd heard before, but only when dealing with high-risk business situations. At his office, he didn't waste time on pleasantries. "Your wife has filed a restraining order against you, claiming emotional abuse and intimidation. She's also frozen several of your joint accounts." I stared at him. "She can do that?" "Unfortunately, yes, and there's more. She's claiming that your business was built in part through her connections and ideas, making her entitled to company shares, not just marital assets." My jaw dropped. Vanessa had shown zero interest in my business beyond the lifestyle it provided her. Her contribution consisted of occasionally charming potential investors at dinner parties. "That's absurd," I said. "She can possibly. She's hired Selena Kamenev," Marcus interrupted. My stomach dropped. Selena Kamenev was the divorce attorney celebrities feared. A shark who made her reputation by extracting astronomical settlements from wealthy men. She didn't just win cases. She publicly eviscerated her opponents. "It gets worse," Marcus continued. "Vanessa is claiming you've been hiding assets offshore to defraud her of her rightful share." This accusation felt like a knife. Yes, I had investments overseas, all perfectly legal, all declared to the IRS. But Vanessa knew exactly how to twist this into something sinister. "She's going to try to ruin me," I said quietly. Marcus nodded. "Financially and reputationally. And she's good at playing the victim. We need to counter-move, fast." As we strategized, my phone buzzed with a text from the same unknown number. "Check your email. Password. Vanessa Truth 2019. After leaving Marcus's office, I opened my laptop at a quiet cafe. The email address was one I didn't recognize, but the password worked. Inside was a single video file. I clicked play, and there was Gabriel, sitting in what looked like a hotel room, facing the camera solemnly. "Mr. Phillips," he began, "I know an apology means nothing at this point, but I need to tell you the truth." He took a deep breath. "I wasn't randomly assigned to protect your wife. She specifically requested me 3 months ago, after seeing me work security at the Harrington's gala." My coffee went cold as I listened to his confession. Gabriel explained that Vanessa had orchestrated everything. The threatening messages were sent by her friend Melissa, whose number I now recognized as the anonymous texter. Their plan was simple: make me paranoid enough to hire security, specifically request Gabriel, and then begin an affair that would give her grounds to leave me while maximizing her financial gain. "She told me you were abusive," Gabriel continued. "That you controlled her finances, isolated her from friends. She said she needed evidence of an affair to escape safely." He looked down. I believed her. By the time I realized she manipulated me too, I was already compromised. The video continued with Gabriel revealing more damning details. Vanessa had been methodically photographing my financial documents for months. She secretly recorded our arguments, editing them to remove her provocations and only show my responses. She even consulted with Kamenev before our wedding, specifically declining a prenup as part of a long-term strategy. The final blow came when Gabriel admitted, "You weren't her first." There was someone at your Tokyo office last year when you brought her on that business trip. And a ski instructor in Aspen before that. I sat stunned as the video ended with Gabriel providing dates, names, and evidence, all of which he was willing to testify to. He realized he was just another pawn in Vanessa's game. When I returned home, there was an envelope waiting with the doorman. Inside, printed bank statements showing regular transfers from Vanessa to Melissa over the past 6 months, along with screenshots of text conversations planning the threat campaign. My anonymous guardian angel had been thorough. Armed with this evidence, I called Marcus. We counter-suing, I said. Fraud, defamation, and conspiracy. That evening, as I sat in my empty penthouse reviewing evidence that would dismantle Vanessa's carefully constructed victim narrative, I received one final text from my unknown ally. She did this to someone else before you. His name is Thomas Whitley. Call him. I googled the name and found a LinkedIn profile for a Boston investment banker. I stared at his picture, successful, confident, wondering if his smile hid the same scars I was now bearing. The next morning, I called him. I was wondering when I'd hear from you. He answered, as if he'd been expecting my call for years. Thomas Whitley agreed to meet me at a private club in Midtown, neutral ground. When I arrived, I spotted him immediately. Late 40s, distinguished gray at his temples, the same shrewd eyes I see in all successful finance guys. But there was something else there too, a wariness that I now recognized in my own reflection. I've been following your situation through mutual connections, he said after we ordered drinks. Vanessa Sullivan, though I knew her as Vanessa Mitchell. The name difference threw me. Mitchell was her maiden name, I said. Thomas smiled grimly. No, her maiden name is Reyes. Mitchell was her first husband's name. First husband? Vanessa had told me she'd never been married before. According to her, I was her first and only. Another lie to add to the growing collection. Thomas's story mirrored mine in disturbing ways. He met Vanessa, then calling herself Claire Mitchell, at a charity function in Boston 5 years ago. Whirlwind romance, lavish lifestyle, no prenup. Then, 16 months into their marriage, the well-orchestrated infidelity designed to trigger an emotionally charged divorce where she could claim psychological distress. She got $3 million from me, Thomas said flatly. Would have been more, but I had an investigator who uncovered some inconsistencies in her story. Not enough to stop the bleeding entirely, but enough to negotiate down. Why didn't you warn me? I asked, unable to keep the accusation from my voice. He sighed. I tried. 2 years ago, when I heard through banking circles that she had latched onto another finance guy. I sent an email. You never responded. I vaguely remembered an odd message that had gone to my spam folder. Something about my new girlfriend that I dismissed as a phishing attempt. By the time Thomas found out we were engaged, Vanessa had already changed her appearance enough, gone from brunette to blonde, different styling, that he couldn't prove it was the same woman from just social media photos. After the divorce, she disappeared completely, Thomas explained. Closed all accounts, moved away. I hired a PI who traced her to Chicago, then lost her. Next thing I knew, she had resurfaced in New York with a new identity. By then, you were already married. So who's been helping me? I asked. Sending the evidence? Thomas's expression darkened. Her name is Rebecca Chambers. She was wife number 3. Apparently, between Thomas and me, there had been another husband, a surgeon named James Chambers. His sister Rebecca had grown suspicious of Vanessa, then calling herself Elise, and had begun investigating her. Too late to save her brother's marriage, but in time to limit the financial damage. Rebecca's made it her mission to track Vanessa and warn potential victims, Thomas explained. She's remarkably resourceful. Before leaving, Thomas handed me a flash drive, everything I have on her. Bank records showing cash withdrawals that match the timing of the threatening notes, in my case. testimonies from her former friends who admitted to helping stage evidence, records of consultations with 3 divorce attorneys before she even accepted my proposal. I felt sick. How did I not see this coming? Because con artists like Vanessa target a specific type, Thomas said gently. Successful, somewhat isolated men who, they prioritized career over personal life. Men who are competent in business but less experienced in relationships. Men who are, frankly, tired of being alone and ready to believe they found someone special. He was describing me perfectly. That night, Rebecca Chambers called me directly. Her voice was calm, methodical, a woman who had turned righteous anger into focused purpose. When I saw the society page announcement of your engagement, I recognized her immediately, she explained. New hair, new name, same predator. They've been documenting her movements since she took my brother for $2.6 million. Rebecca had been the one who connected Gabriel with Elite Shield Services, ensuring he'd be assigned to Vanessa when I made inquiries. She'd been gathering evidence the entire time, waiting for the inevitable moment when Vanessa would make her move. There are others, Rebecca told me, at least 2 more before Thomas. She's perfected her system over the years. Marriage, manufactured evidence of mistreatment, infidelity as an escape, then the divorce settlement. She typically walks away with $1 to $3 million each time. The next day, Marcus and I presented our evidence to the judge overseeing the emergency hearing for Vanessa's restraining order. The look on her face when she saw Thomas and Rebecca sitting behind me in the courtroom was worth every penny of my legal fees. The judge dismissed her restraining order and issued a stern warning about perjury. But the war was just beginning. Vanessa's attorney, Kamenev, was unfazed, merely adjusting strategy rather than retreating. My client maintains that regardless of any prior relationships, her contribution to Mr. Phillips' business success entitles her to substantial compensation, she stated coldly. Outside the courthouse, Vanessa cornered me while our lawyers were conferring. You think you're so clever, she hissed, her perfectly manicured finger jabbing toward me. You have no idea what I am capable of. I always get what I want in the end. I studied her face. The face I had once looked at with complete adoration, and saw nothing familiar there. Just cold calculation behind those eyes I thought held love. You know what your mistake was? I asked calmly. You got greedy. You could have walked away with the gifts, the jewelry, the car I bought you. But you wanted to break me completely. She smiled then, a chilling expression. This isn't over, David. Not by a long shot. As she walked away, I received a text from Rebecca. Check your email. We found another victim, and he's willing to testify. The next 3 months were a legal war zone. Vanessa and her attorney tried every dirty trick imaginable. They submitted edited recordings of our arguments, fabricated emails suggesting I had threatened her, and even attempted to bribe one of my former assistants to testify that I had confessed to hiding assets. But Rebecca Chambers was always one step ahead. The network she had built, what we now called the Vanessa Survivors Club, grew to include 5 men across 3 states, all with identical stories. Rebecca had assembled a damning timeline of Vanessa's activities spanning 8 years. Name changes, manufactured abuse claims, strategic infidelities, and divorce settlements totaling over $11 million. The turning point came when our investigator uncovered Vanessa's offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The irony was rich. She had accused me of hiding assets while secretly stashing her ill-gotten gains from previous husbands. 2 days before our major hearing, Vanessa's 4th victim, a cardiac surgeon from Chicago, flew in to testify. Dr. Allen had lost not only millions but also his hospital privileges after Vanessa's false allegations of prescription drug abuse. He spent 3 years rebuilding his reputation and had the receipts for everything. When Vanessa saw all 5 of us sitting in the courtroom, Thomas, James Chambers, Dr. Allen, another victim named Richard, and myself, the color drained from her face. For the first time, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Her perfect scheme was collapsing around her. During a court recess, Kamenev approached Marcus with an offer. Vanessa would drop all claims in exchange for a lump sum of $500,000 and mutual non-disclosure agreements. Not a chance, I said when Marcus relayed the offer. I want this on the record. The judge's ruling was more satisfying than I could have imagined. Not only were all of Vanessa's claims dismissed, but the judge referred the case to the district attorney for potential fraud charges. Vanessa's carefully crafted persona crumbled as the judge methodically listed her deceptions, concluding that her claims constituted a transparent attempt to defraud through systematic perjury. Outside the courthouse, Vanessa's composed facade finally shattered. She lunged at Rebecca, screaming obscenities. Court officers had to restrain her as she shouted, "You bitch. You, bae, ruined everything." Rebecca remained eerily calm. "No, Vanessa, you ruined yourself." That evening, the survivors gathered at my penthouse. We weren't celebrating exactly. None of us could truly recover what we lost. But there was solidarity in our shared experience. Thomas had brought a bottle of 30-year Macallan, and we toasted to closure. "So what happens to her now?" I asked Rebecca, who had become the de facto expert on all things Vanessa. "The DA is reviewing charges for marriage fraud, perjury, and evidence tampering," she explained. "Her assets have been frozen pending investigation. But most importantly, her playbook is exposed. She can't do this again, at least not easily." 2 weeks later, I received news that Vanessa had fled the country, likely using one of her alternate identities. The authorities were monitoring airports and borders, but I wasn't holding my breath. Someone that calculating always has an escape route. I sold the penthouse, too many memories, and bought a place downtown. Smaller, but it feels more like home. The divorce was finalized last week. The marriage that had defined my life for years was reduced to a signature on legal documents and a court stamp. Dissolved. Gabriel reached out once more before disappearing from my life. He provided crucial testimony about Vanessa's manipulation and was cooperating fully with investigators. "I am truly sorry," he wrote. "I was a fool, weren't we all?" Yesterday, I had dinner with Rebecca. Over the months of legal battles, we developed a friendship forged in shared purpose. She's sharp, principled, and surprisingly funny once you get past her initial intensity. "What now?" she asked as we split a bottle of wine. "Back to the dating scene?" I laughed for what felt like the first time in months. "God, no. I think I need to relearn who I am first." She nodded, understanding without explanation. "Good answer." This morning, I woke up feeling different. The heaviness hasn't disappeared entirely, but there's space around it now. Space to breathe, to reflect, to begin again. I learned some brutal lessons. That trust must be earned slowly, not given freely. That red flags don't disappear with time. They just blend into the background until crisis makes them visible again. That sometimes the most dangerous threats are the ones you invite into your life. But I also learned about resilience, about the strength found in unexpected allies, about the power of truth to eventually overcome deception. To those of you following my story who have shared similar experiences, you're not alone. And to those who sensed something wasn't right in your relationships but doubted yourselves, trust your instincts. Vanessa took 4 years of my life and a significant chunk of my wealth. But she didn't take my future. That still belongs to me. I want to be updating after this. It's time to close this chapter completely. But I wanted to finish the story for those who have followed along and offered support. Your messages reminded me that even in our most isolated moments, connection is possible. So what's next? I am taking a sabbatical. 6 months away from business, social media, and the world that Vanessa and I had inhabited together. Time to remember who I was before her, and to discover who I might become after. Some scars don't heal completely, but they do become part of your story. A reminder not of what broke you, but of what you survived. Thank you all for watching this story to the end. If you were impressed by it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. Every day I post new videos with incredible life stories that make you think. Also, don't miss my analysis of toxic relationships and tips on how to avoid becoming a victim of manipulation. Click on the bell to be the first to receive notifications about new videos. Your support motivates me to create more quality content. Share your thoughts in the comments. I am very interested to hear your opinion. Maybe you had a similar situation?